I can hear the demons call when they do what they do. And now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. I just gotta get through, I just gotta get through. Cause I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. Sometimes I feel like all is lost.
This case is about a 3-year-old that was beaten, blinded, and bound by the same old story, her mother and her mother's boyfriend. Hello, my name is Holly, and this is The Murder She Shed. This is the place we discuss the dead, right from my she shed. First, before we begin, make sure you hit that like and subscribe so you can join our true crime tribe. I'm getting so tired of these mothers that pick their boyfriends over their own children. It is frankly sickening and is getting all too common. My boys are both adults now, but even now as grown-up men that can take care of themselves, I would still choose them over any man. I can't even imagine a little 3-year-old who needs the protection of her mother, but the mother picks a grown man instead. Sorry, every time I do one of these cases, it blows my mind trying to figure out how a mother could be this way. On April 12, 2020, 11:20 a.m., police were called to the residence after a child was reported to be unconscious and unresponsive. They found Xoey laying on a towel in the living room with only shorts on. Officers asked the mom, Tiarra, ASHANTI, RENEE, Glen, if she had performed CPR on Xoey, and she responded, "No, I think she is breathing." Xoey was found to be breathing, but unconscious and unresponsive, and she was transported to Methodist Hospital's North Lake campus. Authorities began to question the mom, Tiarra, as soon as Xoey was transported to the hospital. Tiarra claimed that Xoey had been to stand in a corner in order to discipline her for not eating food. She then said Xoey began crying hysterically because she did not want to go in the corner and started to hyperventilate, defecated on herself, and then became unresponsive. Later, when Tiarra was taken in for an interview by police, she gave a whole different story. Tiarra, who is 3 months pregnant, she doesn't need to be. She lives at the apartment with her boyfriend, Devan, LOVENTA, Allan, and her 2 children. Tiarra said Xoey doesn't listen and cries a lot, and she lets Devan discipline her. How many times have we heard that? The one I did of little Mercedes. Same thing. She let her boyfriend beat her to death. She said lately Xoey had been spending most of her life in a corner. She said one of the punishments is like making an X in the corner, referred to making the child spread her feet and hands out against the wall to form an X and stay in that position for a long time. Tiarra alleged sometimes Devan would tape Xoey's hands together with electrical tape or force her to stand with arms extended outward, and that sometimes they would tape objects to her hand so they put weight on it and force her to stay in that position for extended amount of time. Tiarra also says sometimes they would blindfold Xoey and that she and other family members would whoop the child with a belt. On Tuesday morning, Tiarra said her man was angry with Xoey because she misbehaved the day before and would not eat all of her food that Devan made for breakfast that morning, and it just consisted of leftovers from the day before. After breakfast, Devan made Xoey stand in the corner of a closet for an hour. Devan and Tiarra then became frustrated because Xoey was crying. Xoey asked her mother to whoop her with the belt to get the punishment over with so she could just sit down. for a while, stating she would prefer her mother beat her than Devan because he was stronger. To me, it is so sad that a 3-year-old even knows this, that she had been beat so many times that she knows how strong this man is. Tiarra said she hit the girl with the belt at least 6 times, and after being disappointed, Xoey did not seem affected by being hit. She sent Xoey back into the closet corner. Tiarra then said she couldn't take the crying anymore. She left the bedroom, then Devan beat Xoey again with the belt, and Tiarra said she saw him carry Xoey into the living room because she was hyperventilating. When Devan entered the living room with Xoey, she noticed that he had tied her hands behind her back and covered her eyes, nose, and mouth with a black scarf. He then exposed Xoey's mouth and forced her to drink water to stop her from hyperventilating. However, Xoey could not calm down enough to drink the water. Devan then took Xoey back into the closet, and after she was not able to do what he wanted her to do on the wall, he began to strike her several more times. Then Tiarra heard a loud thump coming from the closet. Devan carried Xoey into the living room again. This time she was not wearing a shirt. Her hands were still tied behind her back, and she had urinated and defecated on herself. She was limp and her eyes were open, staring into space. After she was laid on a couch, she was described as gasping for air and unresponsive. They then changed Xoey's clothes, washed her up, cleaned the apartment. Guys, they cleaned the apartment first. This mom's baby is laying in the floor and barely breathing, but she cleans her apartment first. This blows my mind. Then Tiarra took some time to do a Google search of hyperventilation. The internet directed that she should call 911, so she called for an ambulance. Tiarra said the incident started around 8:20 a.m. and continued through 11 a.m., at which no point in time did she tell her boyfriend to stop. The only one that stood up for Xoey was her 5-year-old sister, who spoke up for her sister when speaking to the officers. The 5-year-old said she and Xoey share a room, but Xoey has to sleep on the floor because she doesn't have a bed. She further said Xoey is always in trouble and misbehaves. The child said Devan would make Xoey stand in the corner and sometimes do squats when she is bad. Her older sister said that Xoey wasn't doing anything wrong on Tuesday, but Devan made her stand in the corner and was forcing her to make an X on the corner. Then Devan tied Xoey's hands behind her back, but she was able to get her hands loose. This made Devan angrier, so he then tied Xoey's hands up again and forced her into the bathroom, turning off the lights and closing the door, going in with her. The sister said Devan beat Xoey with a belt because she wouldn't stand in that corner. The 5-year-old said at one point Xoey was crying so loud that she went into her room, closed the door, and just put on a movie to watch. Xoey's sister further told police that Xoey had soiled herself and passed out, at which time Tiarra told the 5-year-old to put the fan on Xoey. Then the child said they cleaned the whole house, and her mom called the police. I can't even imagine the trauma this little 5-year-old will carry with her for the rest of her life. After medical staff assessed Xoey, they stated she had bruises covering her body from head to toe. Medical staff and police also noted a bite mark on the child's abdomen, bruising in the shape of 3 fingers on her chest, and belt marks on her legs, thighs, and buttocks. There was also blood on her lips, redness around her neck, bruising on her feet, redness under her armpit, and a bump or bruise on her forehead. She also had to be airlifted to a children's hospital in Chicago due to life-threatening brain injuries. Xoey passed away on April 15th. 3 days after her death, Xoey's pink bike rested on the front lawn of her Gary apartment on Clark Road. Xoey's father, Marcus Upshaw, said Xoey was a star, a beautiful child with a great spirit, who could carry on a conversation with an adult despite her tender age. Xoey's father had already lost one daughter. He lost his 10-year-old daughter, Amari Upshaw, in December 2018 to a rare blood disorder. He stated losing one was enough, but this had opened up a whole different type of wound. Marcus said Tiarra was pregnant with Xoey, but they had separated in mid-2018 when he left Indiana to be with Amari while she received treatment in Arizona. He donated bone marrow in July of 2018 for a transplant for Amari and lived in the hospital with her for months. Marcus said he and Tiarra were estranged at times, but during the past year, she had allowed him to regularly FaceTime with their 2 daughters, Xoey and Xoey's older sister. During one of their last calls, the girls were playing and their dad talked to them about moving to Arizona. He flew to Chicago as soon as he heard Xoey was airlifted there and went before a judge to get custody of Xoey's sister. The oldest is now with him, and they plan to seek counseling to help her process the trauma. When he asked his daughter how she felt about being with him, she replied cheerfully, "I feel good." But family members have noticed she wants to watch YouTube videos about CPR and helping people when they pass out. And she asked for permission to do everyday things like just using the bathroom. Well, who knows? Maybe she'll be a nurse someday. Marcus gave the okay to donate Xoey's organs. Through Gift of Hope, Xoey's heart was donated to a 7-month-old boy. Her liver went to an 8-year-old boy. One of her kidneys was given to a man in his 50s. And her other kidney went to a woman in her 40s. Another sad case where a boyfriend was involved in the death of a child. She is such a beautiful little girl, and her story has not been covered enough. I hope her murderers are in prison for life. Rest in peace, sweet Xoey. All right, guys, thanks for joining me in the murder she shed. Love y'all and have a great week. And just love and kiss on your little babies. All right. I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Demons call when they do what they do, and now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. I just gotta get through, I just gotta get through. Cause I feel like taking